used this expression in episode 90. The proof is in the pudding. Episode 91 of The Next Best Bet. I'm Jake Higgins with Brett Levy. Let's take a look at how we did in episode 90. And Brett, like I said, it's in the pudding. Looks like I may go a perfect 6-0 this episode as long as the Saints hold on to the win. They're up 28-0 heading into halftime on Sunday night right now. But I used that phrase in the BYU Boise State game, which you and I were on opposite ends of.
Yeah, and you just actually got an extra field goal there, Higgins. So now it's 31-0 New
Ooh.
Orleans Saints. The proof is in the pudding. Boise State played 3 quarterbacks in that game, Higgins, none of which looked particularly good. So yeah, I'd say the proof is in the pudding. I'd say it held true.
Absolutely. I mean, BYU looked really good there. I think regardless of the 3 quarterback scenario, they probably would have won that game. Cincinnati also looked good grabbing their win, so we'll see how those two, one an independent, one a mid-major, line up with their top 10 rankings heading into this next week and see if they're edging closer to maybe that college football playoffs that they're really trying to eye in this unique year. Let's look into Beginners Boulevard though, Brett, because you and I are on opposite sides of bets every once in a while. I've been known to stray away from the norm and take, whether it be a ridiculous prop or a ridiculous bet, but contrarian betting. It's basically exactly what you would think it is. It's betting against the norm, against the majority, against what everyone is saying is going to happen.
Yeah, a lot of times it's what could be known as like fading the public. It might also be another term, but definitely something that happens. And if you were on the Dallas Cowboys with the points today, you were a contrarian and you were a winner.
A contrarian that was right. And I mean, you were on Steelers minus 14. I ended up finding my way on that as well. And that was not the right move at all, as the Dallas Cowboys, maybe the fourth quarterback is the charm for this season, as they were able to hang around with the Steelers team that escaped and stayed undefeated, but it was not pretty.
Yeah, well, I said Garrett Gilbert. Did you know he's Michael Vick and Randall Cunningham rolled up into one?
Well, also speaking of contrarian betting, let's look at Monday Night Football's game, Brett. The Patriots versus the Jets. Now, Tom Brady's no longer with the Patriots. He's playing on Sunday night with the Bucks, but that doesn't mean that the Jets are being looked at any more favorably than they typically are in this matchup by the sports books. The Patriots are favored by 10 minus 450 on the money line, and the over-under is 41, which I thought was a little low, and then I thought, are the Jets going to even be able to score in this game? I'm taking the Patriots minus 10. I don't think this is too hard of a bet to make, but if you want to be a contrarian, obviously the Jets are who no one's going to be picking to win this game.
No, no one's picking the Jets plus 10. You can't. You cannot back Joe Flacco in this spot. Like, you just can't do it. Maybe you could take the under 41 if you know, want to be really honest with yourself and say, are the Jets putting up 10 points with Joe Flacco? I don't know, Higgins. And the Patriots have struggled to put up some points. No Julian Edelman. So we'll see what happens in terms of scoring points. But I think New England definitely gets this done by at least 2 scores here.
Now, Cam Newton over under rushing yards, 45.5. That speaks to me a little bit as well. I don't know.
You thinking the over there?
I'm thinking the over there maybe. I think maybe he'll get use his wheels, maybe score a touchdown on the ground or two. You never know. If he breaks off 20, it makes that a lot more manageable.
Definitely possible. I'm not sure what I think's gonna happen. I mean, I definitely think that's in play. We saw him run a ton against Buffalo, so I definitely think that's within reason for sure. Who knows how New England's gonna move the ball? I mean, Damian Harris has broken 100 yards twice, but I feel like he's only ran in 2 games. So you never know who's getting the touches in the backfield. Honestly, it could be a Rex Burkhead game, Higgins. You just never know in that backfield.
Absolutely, you're right. The Belichick loves to spread the wealth around a little bit when it comes to running the football. After
Jonas
this
Gray.
After this Patriots Jets game concludes, it wraps up week 9, which puts us just past the halfway mark of this NFL season so far, Brett. What teams are really your favorite betting teams heading into this second half?
Well, I look at the Steelers a lot. They've been strong. They're probably the top team in the league, top to bottom right now. That doesn't mean come the end of the season that's where they'll be, but at this point, Higgins, who's looked more impressive than the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Up until this past week, I would agree with you there. I really like the Seattle Seahawks, but they got stunned by Buffalo this week. I think the spots you want to look at are where it's going to be competitive down the stretch because some of these teams are going to be able to wrap it up a little bit later, and they might start playing a little more conservative in the second half if it looks like they're going to tie up their division and maybe pull their quarterback a little bit early. But teams like the Steelers, absolutely. I still love the Titans and what they're doing this year in the AFC South. And then over in the NFC, the NFC North, I think is going to be decided very late. And I think that's going to cause the Packers to be a very good team to bet on down the stretch, especially how hard it is to play in Lambeau.
Yeah, I think the AFC North is going to be decided late between the Steelers, Ravens, and Browns. And you said the NFC North, I think Minnesota is definitely alive. Dalvin Cook is just running over everyone in that division right now, the Packers and the Lions. So if I was the Bears, I'd be, maybe stacking the box with all 11.
And then you take a look at that NFC West with the Seahawks, Cardinals, Rams, and 49ers. The Niners, who went to the Super Bowl last year, are sitting at the bottom of the division at 4-5 right now, but I wouldn't necessarily count them out just because they've had so many injuries that if they get healthy, that division's still close enough that they could make a run, I think.
Yeah, the NFC West is definitely interesting to watch. The 49ers quarterback play kind of has me thinking they might be out of this one. Arizona's dipped a little bit, so I think it is a two-horse race here between the Rams and the Seahawks, but it should be a competitive race down the stretch. That Seattle defense has a lot of holes in it, Higgins. People are putting up a ton of points on that defense. So Russell Wilson continues to have to be Superman every week, and that's tough in the NFL.
I also wouldn't give up on Kyler Murray yet. He did take that loss to the Miami Dolphins this week, who won 34-31, but I wouldn't be so quick to say that the Cardinals are dipping quite yet. I still have some faith in that team, especially considering they have that overtime win against Seattle in their book in case of a tiebreaker. So who knows where that goes? I think there is definitely some spots for some value here in the NFL, and I think this season has been really, really unique. I wouldn't really expect many more stadiums to be opening up for fans or anything like that to change the scenario to what we've seen in the first half. I think it'll still stay pretty similar to what we've seen so far. But still, as we've said, I would remain cautious on placing your bets until close before games start or day of, just because of the coronavirus.
Yeah, I 100% would agree on waiting till day of to place your bets. That is unless you are able to get a crazy situation like, you think an opening line is just too good to pass up and you're okay with things changing at the last minute. But hold off on placing your bets till game day. And even with that, probably like just a few hours, maybe like an hour or two before that first pitch or tip off or kickoff or puck drop, any other when the first bell rings.
or when the first tee off happens, because we're gonna get
Ah,
back and talk about some more football in a little bit, but there is some golf to talk about this week, Brett, with the Masters happening starting on Thursday. Now, we're going to talk about this more on Wednesday, but since our Wednesday episodes are so football heavy with the weekend of college and pro football being packed, we thought we'd talk about it a little bit on our Monday episode as well. First time the Masters has ever been played in the fall. Everyone knows what this iconic course is like, but I think that you're going to be challenged to see who really knows this course by how it plays in the fall, because that could be very different than how it plays in the spring.
yeah, no, that's definitely interesting to note. So Augusta Higgins is a winter course, which means it's actually closed during the summer months.
Yes.
Normally that means when the Masters is played, that's towards the end of the season on that course. But this
Mm-hmm.
is right towards the beginning. So uh, I'm sure the course will play a little different to your point. That is something to watch for sure.
And so I think you want to go with familiarity when you're talking about who's going to potentially be a winner of this. So if you look at the top odds right now, it makes sense that you have Bryson DeChambeau at the top, who has just been playing lights out in 2020. Really, he has put on a ton of strength, driving the ball a mile, just playing superbly. Dustin Johnson won the 2020 season. This is actually the beginning of the 2021 season that we're actually going into right now, Brett. It started a little bit, believe, back in October or September was when that first September is when that first started. So we are into a new season, but I think you have to think of who is previously a Masters champion when you're going to be looking at this year's winner, because I think it's going to take familiarity of the course. I think it's going to take understanding of uh, how this course can be taken advantage of in these different scenarios. And so I'm going to place a long shot bet here with last year's winner. Tiger Woods won the Masters in 2019. I think he has a chance to do it again in 2020. Grab another green jacket plus 2,800 odds. He's just outside of the top 10 for odds. I think that's some good value. I think it's worth taking the play on.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy that he won the last Masters. It feels so long ago.
So long.
Just a few things have happened since then, like one or two. I can't really think of any big news. Something about murder hornets, maybe.
Murder
Uh,
Hornets, those were a thing. I remember that.
yeah, then maybe that was the only thing. But uh, so it is crazy to think that that was the last Masters. But some of these names I'm looking at: Brooks Koepka plus 1,600. He comes to play in majors. That's his time to shine. So if there's ever a time to bet on Kepka, it's in one of the four majors. So maybe I'll see myself sprinkling in some bets on those. I'm waiting for the the round of three, the groups of three to
Okay.
come out for round one, and I'll probably do individual round betting. I like that the most, but in terms of the names you have listed here, DeChambeau, Johnson, Rahm, McIlroy, Thomas. I like Kepka probably the most. It's plus 1,600 to be honest.
That would make sense. That would make sense. I think another interesting note about this Masters being rescheduled to be played in November is that technically, for the first time ever, the Masters is going to be played as back to back majors. So the Masters is going to happen in November. And then so far, it's still scheduled that it's going to happen in April, right after March Madness typically ends, is when the Masters happens.
Yeah.
So, kind of interesting that we're going to get back to back Masters events. Whoever does win this Masters will have the shortest tenure of reigning champion ever.
I don't that kind of stinks for the champ, but I mean, I guess it makes sense that Tiger had the longest stint as reigning champion. So good for Tiger Woods on the opposite side of that.
Well, then maybe we should root for someone that's already won a green jacket to win it again, so that way it's not a first-time winner
Yeah.
that only has the abbreviated
And
celebration.
now I like your bet even more. Tiger, like what an obscure fact to have the longest and shortest stints as champion.
Just seems like something Tiger's name could be next to in the record
Yeah,
books.
definitely. Just another Tiger stat.
All right, well, let's get back into some football now. I think we talked about enough golf for this episode. Like I said, we're going to talk about it again in episode 92, which will come out the morning of the Masters. So you're going to have to listen to that episode early to get our golf picks. But let's jump back into football with Moneyline Magic. And there were a few options about this game that we could have gone, Brett. We could have gone with the Liberty Vatek game. We could have gone with that Miami versus Arizona Cardinals game. But instead, we're going to talk Arizona State versus USC because this was a very impressive recovery of a win for the Trojans, who were favored in this game and are supposed to be favored in the Pac 12 to rival the Ducks to come out of this conference as champions, but saw trouble in week one.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a USC fan, you had to have been pretty nervous through about, I don't know, 3 quarters and 12 minutes of this game, Higgins.
Yeah, so the Trojans, we're going to jump in with about 3 minutes left, as Brett's saying there. They basically ran a streaks play down the left side of the field, tossed the ball up. The Arizona State defenders both get lost playing the defender, not the ball, and both contest the catch from the one player who tips it up, and it leaves an undefended wideout from the Trojans to just step under and make the catch. Very easy, simple touchdown. Nice little lucky touchdown makes the score 27 to 21. Now it's important that it's 27 to 21 because that's not quite a full touchdown with the extra point, Brett. So USC kicks the onside kick, recovers it in a just madness of a pile, just dog pile. Ball squirts out everywhere. USC ends up with the ball, and then they drive right back down the field, and he throws into double coverage, a very tight window to score the game tying touchdown, and the extra point is good. Touchdown and game Trojans.
Honestly, Higgins, no game fit the description to me better than a game of inches than this game. The deflection to the, wide open receiver in the end zone, then all of a sudden the ball squirting out on the onside kick. I mean, these bounces go a different way or something. You hit a different part of the ball on any of these plays, like different ball game here for Arizona State. Just a brutal way to lose. I think the definition of moneyline magic is coming back 2 scores down with 3 minutes left in a football game. I think that pretty much hits it on the head.
Not to mention, Arizona State did still have a chance at the end of the game to come back. They had the ball with about a minute left, I think it was, a minute and a half almost, somewhere in there. But they get a first down and then quickly stall out and go for it on fourth down. And you said a game of inches. This ball was just too low. Arizona State's receiver tried to make it seem like he caught it, called incomplete, turnover on downs, and the Trojans won the football game. Truly, truly a game of inches.
Yeah, just honestly, welcome back, Pac-12 football. That was an exciting game. The first ever 9 a.m. kick for the Pac-12 conference, and a thrilling comeback for USC. Great way to open up the 9 a.m. slate there for the Pac-12.
And you mentioned a great point there because I saw a lot of confusion on Twitter of asking why there was a Pac 12 game going on at 9 a.m. And there was some speculation going on, but that was not something that was coronavirus driven. That was something that the Pac 12 had wanted to start implementing to try to gain better ratings because their TV contract's coming up soon in the next couple of years, I believe. And so they are playing 9 a.m. games now to try to get national attention for their rankings, for their TV ratings, for their money, all of it. So while that was really weird, that was the first time that they're playing a Pac-12 game at home at 9 a.m. kickoff for them local time. But it's something we're going to start seeing more of, apparently.
Honestly, kind of a letdown for the Pac 12. Like, not to get too into the TV politics here, right? But uh, that game was on Fox. The Fox crew obviously has Reggie Bush on it. Reggie
Mm-hmm.
Bush, went through that whole scandal at USC. He's now back at USC. I think that happened last year. He was allowed
Yes.
back at USC. So what a moment that would have been to have Reggie Bush at the Coliseum at 9 a.m. But COVID unfortunately did take that part away from the game.
Yes, it did. Now we are going to give you some of our MACtion picks that are going on before our next episode will come out. But first, this episode is presented by Wild CBD. Wild produces the best tasting edibles on the market using real fruit and all natural flavoring with flavors inspired by the Pacific Northwest, high quality ingredients, real fruit, and consistent dosing. Wild has become one of the leading cannabis edible producers in the country. Wild's new CBD line currently offers real fruit infused gummies in blackberry, huckleberry, lemon, and raspberry, and CBD infused sparkling water in raspberry, lemon, blackberry, and blood orange. Each gummy is dosed with 25 milligrams of CBD and can be purchased in a bottle of 10 or 20. Wild CBD is offering our listeners 30% off their next purchase from wildcbd.com by using the code POD. That's code POD, P O D, for 30% off your next purchase at Wild CBD, and that's wild with a Y. WYLDCBD.com. Wild CBD products are intended only for use by individuals aged 18 and older. Wild CBD products should only be consumed as directed on the label and should not be used if you are pregnant or breastfeeding. All Wild CBD products are made with ingredients containing 0% THC. Consult with a health professional prior to using Wild CBD in combination with any medications or other dietary supplements. Now, Brett, on to our MACtion picks. You made some last week. I said I wanted to sit from afar and watch the first week of play before I made any picks. I do have some picks this week, though. What did you learn from their opening week?
That I really missed MACtion. Nah, it's gonna be fun. It is what it always is. Craziness on special teams, some trick plays, a few turnovers, pretty high scoring. It's exactly what you expect from Wednesday football, right? Like, if you could summarize Wednesday football, it's MACtion.
Well, it was Wednesday football last week. It's Tuesday and Wednesday football this week, so we get double the dose of MACtion football.
Yeah, we had 6 games on a Wednesday. This time they split it up for us, so we get 3 games, 2 days a week. Higgins, I can't wait. But let's start on Tuesday night. Akron at Ohio. Ohio minus 24.5. Kent State at Bowling Green. Kent State minus 18.5. But I find myself and you find yourself on the Miami, Ohio at Buffalo game. This is clearly the best game of the night. Both these teams are 1-0. I mentioned Buffalo on the last podcast. They're probably the best team in the MAC this year. Going to have a few people on that defense drafted. Their running back is really good as well. But Miami, Ohio's offense really impressed me last week. And I think that plus 10.5 in this one is too many points for Buffalo to cover. So Miami plus 10.5. I don't think they're going to win the game, Higgins, but I think they can score enough to keep it close.
I get that pick. I was leaning that way myself. Another spot that I'm leaning on Tuesday night was the Kent State minus 18.5, but that was a bit too high for me to be willing to take it. Where I am on with this Miami Buffalo game is over 56.5, because if you look at how these games went last week, there was a lot of offense, not a lot of defense. Miami, Ohio beat Ball State 38 to 31. That would cover this over 56.5. And Buffalo beat Northern Illinois University 49 to 30. That would cover this 56.5. both of these teams scored at least 5 touchdowns and let up 30 points. So that feels a little bit low for me. So you're going to have me rooting for all the offense on Tuesday, all of it.
Yeah, no, I think that makes a ton of sense. And what's better than hitting an over in football on a Tuesday night, Higgins? I mean, not much beats that feeling.
That does feel nice. That does feel nice because you don't get much Tuesday night football. Although NFL did grace us with that one night this week so far.
Yeah, I do miss the double Monday nights. I do miss that. Now I get the Jets Pats. Great, thanks. But Wednesday night action, Eastern Michigan at Ball State, Toledo at Western Michigan, Central Michigan at Northern Illinois. Where should we start here, Higgins?
Um, let's talk about Central Michigan versus Northern Illinois because I mentioned Northern Illinois lost to Buffalo last week, 49-30. Now, Northern Illinois still put up a good effort. They spread the ball out, rushing for 156 yards, throwing for 241. I don't think they're gonna get it done at home. Central Michigan played a bit of a better game against Ohio, winning 30-27. I think Central Michigan will cover the full touchdown of -6.5 here. They covered last week, they're gonna cover again. Northern Illinois did not cover last week, they're not gonna cover again.
All right, I like that. I'm going to head on over to Toledo and Western Michigan. And the over under in this one is 59.5. I guess I'll let you know that Western Michigan is a 2.5 point favorite at home. But the reason the over under in this one speaks to me is because I said Buffalo is probably the best team in the MAC. Well, these are the two best offenses, no doubt about it. So when they get to meet, I'm going to take the over, 59.5. I'm definitely going to be on that over. And like you on Tuesday night, on Wednesday night, I was just going to be sitting back, watching, rooting for as many points as possible. And then the last game that night is Eastern Michigan at Ball State. Ball State lost a close one to Miami last week. They lost by 7 there. I'm just going to take them at home to bounce back against Eastern Michigan, -8.5. I think they're the better team than Eastern Michigan. I'm not willing to lay -340, so I guess I got to take the points, Higgins, and that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, this is a game that if you hadn't already picked it, I was probably going to be on Ball State as well at -8.5. I thought, although they lost to Miami, Ohio last week, they played a great game, losing 38-31. Their quarterback threw for over 300 yards. Their running back had 130 yards and 2 touchdowns. The offense seemed like it was really working, and so I wouldn't be surprised if they continue on that same train this week. But for the sake of the Pillars, I'm going to let you have that pick, and I'm going to stay away from it.
You're such a good friend. Thank you, sir.
So there you have it with our MACtion. On Tuesday, Brett's going to be rooting for an away team while I'll be rooting for the offenses to score. And then on Wednesday night, I'll be rooting for an away team. Brett will be rooting for the offenses to score in a different game, and then he's got the home team, Ball State, looking for a rebound to go to 1-1 on the season. Now, before we get out of here, let's go to the Levy lock and pick of the pods, Brett. Now, I went perfect last week as long as the Saints still hold on to grab this win, which I think they're going to. You unfortunately lost with your Steelers pick, though, so I will be having the honors, but it looks like you want to say something quick.
Uh, I hope you're not biting your fingernails, Higgins, because this Tampa Bay game's in the books.
Well, that's a little more comforting. Okay, my pick of the pod is going to be that Miami, Ohio versus Buffalo over 56.5. Like I said, both of those teams scored over 5 touchdowns last game. Their defenses also allowed 30 points or more. So 56.5 is sitting a little bit low for me. I wouldn't be surprised if we see similar games by each of them as we did in week 1, and it's a high scoring above 60-point game.
Always fun to root for points. That's your favorite thing anyway, so why not?
Absolutely.
And I've mentioned it once, I've mentioned it twice, but the Jets, in a season where it's never been easier to score points in the NFL, are on pace to score the least amount of points ever in an NFL season. And they're starting Joe Flacco this week. and they're only plus 10. So take New England minus 10, take them minus 11, probably take them minus 12. Just take the Patriots.
Can we believe that we are at the point right now that we're joking on Joe Flacco not being able to do anything with the Jets when it doesn't seem like so long ago that we were asking that question, even if it was semi-sarcastically, is Joe Flacco elite?
Well, I mean, look, I'm not gonna knock the guy. Like, he had a very good career. It's
Got a
just,
Super Bowl.
yeah. I mean, he a few injuries. You know, age, things catch up with you, and you're not gonna be the same guy at 25, at 35, at 45. So, age caught up with him a little bit quicker than say Drew Brees, say Tom Brady, but he's definitely not the first person to get caught by Father Time.
Absolutely. Also, typically you would say that Ravens defense helps a little bit more than that Jets defense, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, the Jets' defense isn't really our issue. It's just everything else.
All right, well, we'll see how it goes on Monday night. This has been episode 91 of The Next Best Bet. For Brett, I'm Jake. We'll talk to you again on Thursday.